He came home early, and what he saw froze his blood. A splash. A scream. His little boy struggling in the pool, while the woman he was about to marry just stood there, watching. Daniel Kane, one of America's most powerful billionaires, had seen ruthless boardrooms and billion-dollar betrayals, but nothing prepared him for the sight of his own fiancée, pushing his 6-year-old son into the water. Just minutes earlier, the Kane mansion was silent except for the sound of little footsteps echoing down the marble hallway. Ethan Kane, 6 years old, was running with his favorite toy airplane, its blue wings catching the sunlight streaming through the tall glass windows. He giggled as the plane flew between golden pillars, the sound of joy filling a house that had forgotten laughter. "Stop running, Ethan. You'll scratch the floors again." Vanessa's voice sliced through the air, sharp and annoyed. Ethan froze mid-step. His blue eyes darted toward her, tall, elegant, dressed in a satin robe that screamed wealth and control. Her lips curled in irritation as she swirled the wine glass in her hand, even though it was barely noon. "I'm sorry," Ethan said softly. "Sorry doesn't fix floors," she snapped, taking a sip. "Now go play outside." Quietly, he nodded and hurried toward the backyard. The sunlight hit the massive pool as he stepped out. The water shimmered like liquid diamonds. He knelt beside it, placing his toy plane on the edge, pretending it was flying over a sparkling ocean. He smiled to himself. His dad had promised they'd swim together today. He was coming home early. At least that's what the last phone call said. Inside the house, Vanessa stood by the glass doors, watching him. Her expression softened for a moment, then hardened again. Every time she looked at that boy, she saw Daniel's late wife. The woman everyone said he still loved. The woman whose memory she could never compete with. That little boy was a constant reminder that Daniel had already given his heart away long before she came along. She walked outside, her heels clicking sharply on the stone tiles. "Ethan," she said smoothly, "you shouldn't be near the pool alone." "I'm waiting for Daddy," he said cheerfully. "He said he'll swim with me today." Her jaw tightened. "Your father says a lot of things, doesn't he? He's busy. You need to learn not to depend on him for everything." Ethan looked up, confused. "But he promised." Vanessa set her glass down and crouched slightly, forcing a smile. "Sweetheart," she said in a voice dripping with false kindness, "you need to understand something. Your father works very hard, mostly because of you. Do you know that?" Ethan shook his head. "He spends all his time trying to make this perfect life for you. And do you know what he gets in return?" Her smile faded. "Nothing but problems." Ethan blinked, not understanding. "I didn't do anything," her voice grew cold. "No, you never do. But your existence ruins everything." Ethan took a small step back. I just want to play." Inside, she hissed. He hesitated, clutching his toy plane tighter. "Just one more minute, please." Vanessa's hand trembled. The wine, the jealousy, the resentment, it all boiled up inside her like poison. Every time Daniel smiled at that boy, every time he called him champ, every time she saw that same pair of blue eyes that once belonged to another woman, she felt invisible. And in that moment, something inside her broke. "Go inside," she shouted, stepping forward. Ethan stumbled back, scared. Her heels slipped on the wet tile. Her arm jerked forward instinctively, and her palm hit his small shoulder. There was a sharp cry, then a splash that shattered the quiet afternoon. Water sprayed across the patio. Vanessa gasped, staring at the pool. "Ethan," she called, her voice trembling. No answer. "Ethan!" she screamed, rushing forward. For one terrifying moment, the surface was still. Then a tiny hand broke through, splashing, fighting, gasping for air. He couldn't swim. He was drowning. Vanessa froze. Her body screamed to jump in, but her mind was louder. "If I save him, he'll tell Daniel. If I don't, maybe it's just fate." Her breath came in short, panicked bursts. Her heart pounded in her ears until she heard another sound. A door opening. Footsteps. She turned, and her world stopped. Daniel Kane stood by the glass doors, briefcase still in hand, his expression pure disbelief. The man who could command boardrooms with a single word, silent now, staring at the horror in front of him. His son drowning. His fiancée frozen. For a second, Vanessa couldn't move. "Daniel," she stammered. He slipped. But Daniel didn't hear her. He dropped his briefcase, sprinted past her, and dove into the pool, still wearing his $1,000 suit. Water splashed over the tiles as he swam toward Ethan, pulling him into his arms. "It's okay, buddy," he whispered, his voice shaking. "Daddy's here." Ethan coughed, crying as Daniel lifted him out of the water and onto the lounge chair. He checked his breathing, pressing his ear against his son's chest until he heard a faint heartbeat. Relief washed over him for 1 second. Then he looked up. "Tell me what you did," Daniel said quietly, dangerously. Vanessa stepped back. "It was an accident, I swear." He slipped. "Daniel, I tried to. Don't lie to me." His voice cut like ice. She froze. Because the way he looked at her, he wasn't guessing. He knew. He had seen it. Every single second of it. Daniel wrapped his arms protectively around Ethan, his soaked clothes clinging to him, his jaw tightening with fury and heartbreak. "You'll never come near my son again," he whispered. And just like that, the woman who thought she'd married into a dream realized she'd just destroyed it. The sound of dripping water filled the air as Daniel carried Ethan inside the mansion. His shirt clung to his body, his hair soaked, his face pale with rage. Vanessa followed a few steps behind, her heels tapping nervously on the marble floor. "Daniel, please," she started. "Don't." His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of thunder. "Don't say a word right now." Ethan whimpered softly in his arms. Daniel set him down on the couch, grabbed a towel from the side table, and wrapped it around his trembling body. "You're okay, champ," he whispered. "You're safe." The boy clung to him, burying his face in his father's chest. Daniel kissed the top of his wet hair, holding him tighter than ever before. Vanessa stood by the glass wall, her heart racing. She didn't mean for it to go that far. It was a slip, a stupid, angry moment. But now, looking at Daniel's expression, she realized it didn't matter what she meant. He'd already judged her. "I swear, Daniel, it wasn't what you think," she said finally, stepping closer. I was trying to stop him from falling. My heel slipped." Daniel turned, eyes blazing. "Do you think I didn't see it?" Her lips parted. "You saw?" "I saw everything," he thundered, his voice echoing through the mansion. "I saw you push him." She froze where she stood. The truth hung heavy in the air. The sound of rain had started outside, a low rumble of thunder filling the silence between them. "Daniel, I didn't. Enough." His voice cracked with emotion. "You could have killed him, Vanessa. My son. My only son." She took a step back, tears filling her eyes. "I made a mistake. I didn't mean to." He looks at me like she did. Like she's still here. Daniel's expression changed, a mix of shock and disgust. "So this was about her?" Vanessa's voice broke. "You don't understand. Every time I walk into a room, it's her picture on the wall, her perfume in your closet, her memories in this house. I've been living with a ghost, Daniel. You never loved me the way you loved her." Daniel's voice dropped to a low growl. "You're right. Because she never would have hurt our son." Her breath caught in her throat. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she whispered. "But you did." He turned away, his shoulders heavy. "Pack your things, Vanessa. You're leaving tonight." Her eyes widened. "You can't just, Daniel, please. We're engaged. The wedding is in 3 weeks." He didn't turn back. "There will be no wedding." Vanessa's knees nearly buckled. "You can't do this. You can't just throw me away like I'm nothing." Daniel looked over his shoulder, his gaze colder than the rain outside. "You did that yourself." She covered her face, sobbing softly. "I was trying so hard to be good enough for you." Daniel crouched beside Ethan, who had fallen asleep against the couch, his small hand still gripping his father's sleeve. "The only thing you had to do," he said quietly, "was love him. That's all." A heavy silence fell over the room. The storm outside grew louder, flashes of lightning illuminating the mansion's glass walls. Vanessa stood frozen, tears streaking her mascara. For a moment, she thought about leaving quietly, just walking out and never coming back. But then something inside her twisted again. A dangerous thought whispered in her mind. "He can't just destroy you. Not like this. Not after everything you've given up." "Daniel," she said softly, taking a shaky step forward. "I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But please, just give me a chance to explain. You know I've been under so much stress. The wedding, your business trips, the reporters, everyone expects me to be perfect." I just snapped. Daniel didn't even look up. "Snapping doesn't include pushing a child into a pool." Her tone sharpened. "I said it was an accident." "Then why didn't you jump in to save him?" Her lips parted, but no sound came. Daniel stood, towering over her. I've built empires, Vanessa. I've dealt with liars, cheaters, and manipulators. But what I saw today, that was evil. Vanessa's breathing grew uneven. You can't talk to me like that. After everything I've done for you, what you've done, Daniel cut her off, is show me who you really are. The front door suddenly opened. Maria, the housekeeper, rushed in, startled by the noise. Sir, oh my God, what happened? She saw Ethan wrapped in a towel, shivering, and her hands flew to her mouth. Maria, take Ethan upstairs, Daniel said firmly. Keep him warm, stay with him until I come. Yes, sir. She hurried over, gently lifting Ethan's small hand. Come, sweetheart, let's get you to bed. Ethan looked at his father sleepily. Daddy, you're not mad, right? Daniel forced a soft smile. No, champ, not at you. When they disappeared upstairs, Daniel turned back to Vanessa. She stood near the window now, trembling. You're going to destroy me, she whispered. Do you know what the press will say? What your friends will think? Daniel's tone was ice. They'll think I finally saw the truth. Her tears stopped. Slowly, her expression shifted from fear to fury. You think you can just get rid of me? After everything? You think people will believe you over me? You're the billionaire who abandoned his wife for a younger woman. What do you think they'll say when I tell them you were violent? That you hit me? Daniel's jaw tightened. You're really going to play that card? Whatever it takes, she said coldly. He stared at her, disgusted. Get out before I call security. I'm not leaving, she snapped. Not until you hear me out. Daniel stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. You've already said enough. For the first time, Vanessa saw something in his eyes that terrified her. Not just anger, but disappointment. A kind of heartbreak that couldn't be undone. The thunder cracked again, shaking the windows. By morning, Daniel said, walking toward his office, you'll be gone. Vanessa stood frozen, staring at the rain sliding down the glass. Then, slowly, her lips curved into a bitter smile. You'll regret this, she whispered under her breath. You'll regret turning your back on me. That night, the Kane mansion didn't sleep. The rain fell hard against the glass walls, lightning flashing across the sky like the universe itself was angry. Daniel sat on the edge of his son's bed, watching Ethan breathe peacefully under the soft glow of a night lamp. His small chest rose and fell, a sign that he was safe, for now. Daniel brushed Ethan's wet hair gently. You're my world, buddy, he whispered. I'll never let anyone hurt you again. Ethan stirred a little, mumbling, Daddy, don't be mad at Miss Vanessa. Daniel froze. Why would you say that? She said you'd be mad if I told. Those words hit Daniel like a punch to the chest. His throat tightened. What did she tell you not to say, champ? Ethan's eyes fluttered open, sleepy but scared. She said it was my fault. That you work too hard because I'm bad sometimes. Daniel's heart broke. He held his son tighter, his voice shaking. Don't ever believe that, Ethan. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. None of this is your fault. Okay. Ethan nodded weakly, tears forming in his eyes. Okay, Daddy. Daniel stayed with him until he drifted back to sleep. Then, quietly, he slipped out of the room and walked down the hall. The house was dark and silent, except for the sound of rain hitting the windows. In the living room, Vanessa was still there. She sat on the couch, a half-empty glass of wine beside her, eyes red and distant. The diamond engagement ring on her finger glittered faintly under the chandelier. You're still here, Daniel said coldly. She looked up slowly. You didn't really think I'd walk out in the middle of a storm, did you? You should have left hours ago. She smirked faintly. I was thinking about it. But then I remembered something. Half this house is registered under my name now. Daniel's jaw tightened. That's temporary, and you know it. The paperwork isn't finalized. But the media doesn't know that, she said, her voice calm but laced with venom. And if they hear that your fiancé was thrown out in the rain after a tragic misunderstanding involving your son, well, let's just say your perfect billionaire image might start to crack. Daniel took a deep breath, trying to control the storm brewing inside him. You're blackmailing me now? She stood up, brushing imaginary dust off her silk robe. I'm protecting myself. You always said I was smart, didn't you? You're playing a dangerous game, Vanessa. She walked closer, her eyes glinting. No, Daniel. You are. You think money can fix everything. Your guilt, your loneliness, your broken heart. You think you can buy love. But when you're alone in this house, with no wife and no one to blame, you'll realize you need me. Daniel's eyes narrowed. I'd rather live alone than spend another second with someone who could harm my child." Vanessa laughed quietly, but there was no humor in it. "You think I wanted to hurt him? You think I planned that?" "I was angry, Daniel. Angry at you, at your perfect little life, at how you look at that kid like he's all that matters. What about me? What about what I gave up for you?" He stepped closer, his tone steady but cutting. "You didn't give up anything, Vanessa. You tried to buy your way into a life you didn't deserve. You had everything. The house, the parties, the money, and you still weren't happy." Her eyes darkened. "You'll regret those words." "Good night, Vanessa," he said coldly, turning away. But as Daniel disappeared down the hallway, Vanessa's trembling hand tightened around her wine glass. The crystal shattered in her grip, blood dripping from her fingers. She didn't even flinch. "You'll see," she whispered. "You'll all see." The next morning, the storm had passed, but a heavy silence hung over the mansion. Daniel had barely slept. He called his lawyer at dawn and made arrangements to have security escort Vanessa out by noon. Maria, the housekeeper, brought Ethan breakfast upstairs, keeping him distracted with cartoons and pancakes shaped like stars. Downstairs, Daniel waited near the front door, his phone in hand. At exactly 11:50 a.m., Vanessa appeared at the top of the staircase. Dressed in a black coat and oversized sunglasses, she looked like a celebrity leaving a scandal. Two security guards followed behind, holding her suitcases. "Running me out like a criminal?" she said with a bitter smile. "Classy." Daniel crossed his arms. "You're lucky that's all I'm doing." She paused midway down the stairs. "Don't worry, Daniel. I'll tell people what really happened. That your son fell, that you overreacted, that you've been unstable since your wife died. Poor billionaire. So lonely he can't tell truth from fiction." Daniel's face went blank. "Say whatever you want. The truth has a way of finding people like you." She reached the bottom step, her heels echoing one last time through the hall. "Goodbye, Daniel. Goodbye, Vanessa." As the guards opened the door, she turned back one last time. Her expression was cold, unreadable. "You think this is over?" she said softly. "It's just beginning." The door slammed behind her. For a long moment, Daniel stood still, the silence almost painful. He exhaled slowly, running a hand through his hair. Then he looked up at the staircase. Ethan was standing there, clutching his toy plane, his eyes wide. "Is she gone, Daddy?" Daniel nodded gently. "Yes, buddy. She's gone." Ethan's lips trembled. "Did I do something bad?" Daniel walked up the stairs, kneeling in front of him. "No, son. You didn't do anything wrong. You were brave. You told the truth. That's what good people do." Ethan sniffled and hugged his dad tightly. "I don't like her, Daddy. She looked at me like she hated me." Daniel held him close, closing his eyes. "You never have to see her again, okay? I promise." But even as he said it, something deep down in his chest whispered that it wasn't over. That look on Vanessa's face before she left, it wasn't fear. It was a warning. And the Kane mansion, though quiet now, felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for the next storm. Even though Vanessa had left the Kane mansion, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that the storm wasn't over. He had expected her to sulk, to vanish quietly, maybe even sulk in some boutique hotel somewhere until the memory of the pool incident faded. But the way she had looked at him before leaving, that cold, calculating gaze that told him she had something far worse in mind. Daniel spent the rest of the morning checking every corner of the mansion, ensuring Ethan was safe. Cameras had been installed months ago, not just for security, but for Daniel's peace of mind. He reviewed the footage of yesterday, Vanessa's shove, Ethan flailing in the water, her frozen stare as Daniel arrived. He couldn't believe what he had seen. He had trusted her, brought her into his home, introduced her to his son, and yet she had almost destroyed everything in a single instant. Maria, the housekeeper, noticed Daniel pacing and tried to reassure him. "Sir, Ethan is fine. I stayed with him all night. He's safe now. You don't need to worry." "I know," Daniel said, running a hand through his damp hair. "It's not about the accident. It's about her. She's dangerous, Maria. I've never seen this in anyone before." Maria nodded slowly. "People can hide their true selves for a long time, sir. Sometimes it takes one moment to reveal everything." He gave her a small, grateful nod, then excused himself and walked to his office. He had work to do, but his mind kept drifting back to Vanessa. He knew she had connections, friends in the media, and the ability to twist a story in her favor. If she decided to attack him publicly, It could ruin more than just his reputation. It could hurt Ethan emotionally, too. Around noon, his phone rang. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize. "Hello," Daniel answered. "Mr. Kane," a woman's voice said, soft and steady. "I work for a news outlet. I heard about the incident with your fiancé and your son. There are rumors circulating, and I thought you might want to comment before the story goes public." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Rumors? What rumors?" The woman hesitated. "It's being said that your fiancée was attacked by your son, that she was nearly injured by him, and that you've been hiding the truth. The story is gaining traction online." Daniel's blood ran cold. He had expected Vanessa to twist things, but not this fast. "Do you have proof of these claims?" he asked, his voice calm but edged with steel. The woman paused. "Not yet, but people are spreading videos from nearby security cameras and gossip from neighbors. If you don't respond, it could look very bad." Daniel hung up. He didn't need to think twice. Vanessa had begun her campaign, and it was already starting to spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, Vanessa was not idle. She had rented a penthouse downtown for the day, her phone glued to her ear as she contacted reporters and influencers. Every word she said painted Daniel as a tyrant, an abusive father, a man whose obsession with wealth and perfection had made his son violent. She knew she couldn't reverse the narrative completely, but she could plant seeds of doubt, make the public question Daniel's character. Back at the mansion, Daniel gathered his inner circle, his lawyer, his personal assistant, and the head of security. "She's trying to manipulate the narrative," he said firmly. "We need to get ahead of this. Any public statements must be carefully worded, and Ethan must remain completely shielded from this madness." The lawyer, a sharp woman named Rebecca, nodded. "We can issue a statement clarifying that Ethan was never at fault, that the child is safe, and that the incident was contained. But if Vanessa continues this, it could escalate into a legal matter." Daniel's face hardened. "She won't win. Not with Ethan and me. But I have to be prepared for anything." As they strategized, a knock at the front door caught everyone off guard. Security moved swiftly, opening the door to reveal a man in a tailored suit, holding a briefcase and wearing a calm, confident expression. "Mr. Kane?" the man asked politely. "I'm Alex Warren, a private investigator. I was hired by someone very interested in your personal affairs. I believe I can help prevent any misinformation from spreading, if you allow me access." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Who hired you?" The man's lips pressed together. "I cannot disclose that yet, but I can assure you, my investigations have prevented countless situations from escalating into public scandals." Daniel thought for a moment. His instinct told him to be cautious. Vanessa was smart, manipulative, and dangerous. If anyone could outmaneuver her before she caused irreparable damage, it would need to be someone with skill and discretion. "Fine," Daniel said at last. "But I want full control over what you do. I'm not letting my family be used as pawns." Alex nodded, a slight smile appearing. "Understood, Mr. Kane. I'll start immediately. By tonight, we should have a clearer picture of her plans." As Alex stepped inside, Daniel looked upstairs at Ethan's room. The soft glow of the night lamp replaced now by daylight streaming through the curtains. The boy was playing quietly with his toy airplane, oblivious to the storm brewing just outside their walls. Daniel's heart swelled with love and fear simultaneously. "I won't let anything happen to you, Ethan," he whispered. "No matter what." But outside, Vanessa was already in motion. The penthouse windows framed her figure, backlit by the sun. She was writing, calling, orchestrating her plan with precision. And though Daniel had allies and strategy, Vanessa had something else: unpredictability. She thrived in chaos. The day stretched on, the tension thick in the air. Every phone notification, every car passing the driveway, every knock at the door made Daniel's nerves taut. He knew one wrong move could mean the start of a public war he didn't want but could not avoid. And in the shadows of the city, Vanessa smiled faintly, convinced she had the first move, and that the next headline would shake Daniel Kane to his core. The Kane mansion, quiet on the surface, felt like a battlefield waiting for the next attack. And Daniel Kane, billionaire, father, and protector, knew that the fight for his son's safety and his family's reputation had only just begun. By late afternoon, the city buzzed with whispers about the Kane mansion incident. Social media was alive with speculation, and Vanessa's carefully planted rumors had begun to take root. Headlines appeared online. each one hinting at scandal. Billionaire's fiancé and shock pool incident, Daniel Kane's family drama exposed, and who's really to blame in Kane Mansion controversy? Vanessa watched from her penthouse, a smug smile on her face. She had painted herself as the wronged party, the innocent woman caught in the crossfire of a wealthy man obsessed with his son. Her fingers drummed lightly on the glass table as she imagined Daniel's reaction when he read the headlines. He'll have no choice but to bend to me, she thought. But Daniel Kane was no ordinary billionaire. By evening, he had already gathered evidence, security camera footage, eyewitness testimony from the staff, and even the time-stamped phone calls confirming his early arrival. Everything Vanessa tried to twist could be proven false. He had also brought Alex Warren, the private investigator, into the mansion earlier that day. Alex had tracked Vanessa's communications, her meetings, and the online postings she orchestrated. Within hours, Daniel had a complete picture, not just of the lies, but of the malicious intent behind them. Daniel called a press conference. The city's media quickly gathered outside the Kane Mansion, buzzing with curiosity and anticipation. Cameras flashed and microphones jostled as journalists whispered to one another about the mysterious family scandal. Vanessa, who had expected Daniel to remain silent, watched live coverage from a private streaming link on her phone. She felt a flicker of unease. Why is he doing this? She wondered. Why confront me publicly? The press conference began. Daniel stood at the podium, impeccably dressed, his hair still slightly damp from yesterday's pool rescue, his posture calm but commanding. Behind him, a banner displayed the Kane Foundation logo. He cleared his throat. Good evening. My name is Daniel Kane. Yesterday, an incident occurred at my home involving my son and my fiancée at the time, Vanessa. I want to make something very clear. My son is safe. He was never in serious danger, and he acted as a child would, trusting and innocent. He paused, letting the words sink in. Cameras clicked rapidly. Reporters leaned forward. However, he continued, his voice steady, piercing. What was attempted against him was not an accident. Vanessa intentionally pushed my son into the pool. Her actions were deliberate, and they could have caused irreparable harm. The murmurs grew louder. Vanessa's phone slipped from her hand. Her face turned pale. She had never expected him to expose her publicly, let alone with undeniable proof. Daniel held up his tablet, showing security footage of the incident. Every movement, every glance, every shove was captured. The crowd gasped. Let me be clear, Daniel said firmly. I will not tolerate anyone, no matter who they are, harming my family. Vanessa Kane is no longer my fiancée. She has been removed from my home and barred from contact with my son. Legal action is underway to ensure this never happens again. The reporters erupted with questions. Vanessa tried to call her assistant, but Daniel's team had already frozen her social media accounts temporarily. She had no control. Daniel looked directly into the camera, his expression unwavering. Let this serve as a warning. No one can manipulate or harm my family. My son's safety is my priority. Everything else comes second. Vanessa sank into her chair at her penthouse, her world unraveling in front of her. Her carefully laid plans, her rumors, her manipulation, all crumbling within minutes. She had underestimated Daniel's resolve, his love for Ethan, and his ability to act swiftly. Inside the mansion, Daniel returned to Ethan's room. The boy was playing with his toy airplane, unaware of the storm his father had just tamed. Daniel knelt beside him, hugging him tightly. You're okay, buddy. Daddy's got everything under control. Ethan smiled sleepily. I knew you'd save me again, Daddy. Daniel kissed his forehead. I'll always save you. Always. As night fell, the mansion glowed warmly. Security had been tightened, and Vanessa's influence was already fading. She had been exposed publicly for her actions, and her credibility was destroyed. Daniel knew the city would talk, but the truth and Ethan's safety had been protected. Days later, Vanessa tried to spin another story, but no one listened. The public and media had seen the footage, and Daniel's calm, authoritative handling of the situation turned the tide completely in his favor. Daniel watched his son play in the backyard pool, this time safely, with him in the water, and smiled. The terror of yesterday had been replaced by relief and love. The mansion was quiet, peaceful, and secure. Vanessa, meanwhile, had disappeared from the city, her schemes foiled, her reputation in ruins. The billionaire had protected what mattered most. his family, his son, and the truth. Daniel held Ethan close, looking at the sparkling water and the golden sunlight reflecting off the mansion walls. "You're safe, son, and nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever come between us again." Ethan giggled, splashing his tiny hands in the water. "Daddy, let's play airplane again." Daniel laughed softly, lifting him into the air. "You got it, champ. Let's fly." And in that moment, all the fear, all the danger, all the drama, it was gone. The Kane mansion, though scarred by betrayal and attempted harm, stood stronger than ever. Love, truth, and courage had won. Outside, the city lights glimmered. Somewhere far away, Vanessa would learn the cost of manipulation. But inside the Kane mansion, Daniel Kane and his son shared a bond that no one and nothing could ever break. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us bring more amazing stories like this to you. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a shocking twist or jaw-dropping story. Comment below and tell us, what would you do if you were in Daniel's shoes? Let us know.